Hello, crafty friends. It's Elisa from Paisley Papyrus. Welcome to another episode of my Gel Press January. So back at Christmas time, I realized I have some old Christmas paper in my stash that I'm really just not using because it's kind of dated and I'm not really into some of the patterns. So some of these are okay and will get used eventually, but some of them are just kind of not so hot. So I have that small 6x6 one, and then I have this large 12x12 one that are all, they're sort of just copy weight paper. So I've picked out a few pieces of each and we're going to gel press on them and see if we can't turn them into something special. So here are some of the pieces that I've picked. Most of them were from the 6x6 pack. This is a little scrap from the 12x12 pack. So this one I actually think is okay, but he's so thin and flimsy that I'm just not sure about it. And this is a little thicker, but not by much. And then some of you may recognize this as a piece of Creative Memories paper from, I don't know, 20 years ago. Sadly, I still have that in my stash as well. So it's time to use up some of these goodies. So today we are going to do just that with my gel press and some acrylic paint. So I have two hopes here. One is to use up the paper and turn it into something that I like, and the second is to make it thicker. So the acrylic paints will help me with that. Now I'm going to use a variety of paints. Most of them are just paints from the craft store. So let's get started. Okay, so another benefit to this is I'm going to be using up some of my ancient paints. I mean, like, some of these are so old, it's crazy. So I will either be identifying, I mean, really, who has Country Color anymore? And I don't have any idea where Ames is, much less when I bought this. But anyway, so as I discover which ones are dead, I will just throw them away. So that'll be a benefit of this as well. So I have a variety of blues and greens and reds and even a little bit of yellow and some metallic and white and a tiny bit of black and some other neutrals. So my workspace is littered with acrylic paints that I've acquired over the years, and we will see what we get. All right, so let me set these aside, and I'm trying to decide which color I want to start with. Let's start with a nice warm neutral. That sounds fun. Let's see if we can't tone down one or two of these. I have paint and stuff everywhere, so I'm doing a little shake up here, see if I can't get it going. Okay, so because I'm working with pattern paper, I'm going to see, oh, this one's very goopy. I'm going to see if I can't make a nice thin layer. So this is my Fun Stampers Journey brayer, which is nice and big. And this is my Speedball, which is a thinner one. So we're going to start with this big one. And let me move my paper over here to the side. And let's brayer that out. And I want, like I said, a nice thin layer. Just to give a layer over top of my card. All right, so let's start with this Merry Christmas paper. Now, the other fonts are great, but I'm not really a fan of that one. So let's see what we get when we do this to the paper. All right, that's one layer. Let's do that again. See, as you can see with the goopy old paints, you want to make sure you're going to wash your brayer really well afterwards, because can you see that little clump right there? I am not interested in having that the next time I go to make a brayer of something. Oh, yeah, this paint is old, 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 old. So let's lift that glob out. Nope, I don't know where he went. There was a big glob in there. He'll show up again. One of the nice things about the Fun Stampers Journey gel press is that it's 8.5 by 11. So I could use a full sheet of cardstock and it will cover the whole piece of cardstock. All right, that looks like a nice thin layer. So let's do that again to this poinsettia piece. Put him right there, smooth him all out, and pull him up. Whoop, the poinsettia is almost gone. That's okay. I didn't really like it anyway. All right, so let's pull this piece in right over here. So today's video is really just a giant experiment on camera. I have never done this before, so I have no idea what we're going to get when it's all said and done. But I like the idea of the layers covering up, but then having the little bit of the original printed image maybe peeking through here or there, or maybe not, as the case may be. So I'm just setting them off behind me to allow them to dry. So let's add this red. It's okay if those bits on there dry up. It will be okay in the end. One of the things that I also want to say is, you just saw me open that on camera, is it's best if you're working with old paint to kind of open it off of your gel press so that you don't get those dried bits. And the reason I know that is because I have lots of dried bits. Whoop, that's kind of turning pink whenever I mix it with the other one. But that's okay, this is just the beginning layer of lots of things. So let's use this Merry Christmas paper. This one's on white. See what happens. Give it a nice firm press all over. I hope I'm not shaking the camera too much. Ooh, look, it transferred onto the paper, onto the gel press. That one's actually kind of cool. Now let's use the ink that's, or the paint that's still on my brayer, and do this one. This is my original print. That's nice, sort of vintagey feel. And let's see, should we add another color? Let's add some more of that red. Where did it go? So this is really old. It's called Pimento. So it's kind of pinky to begin with, I guess. And that's a lot of paint. So much for my nice thin layers. So you can see as I roll the little bits that are in here, which is one of the hazards of working with an old paint. So I have gone ahead and used my steel rule dies to die cut out some thin chipboard. So I'm just going to lay that guy right there in here. And then we're going to pick him back up and set him off to the side. And we're going to lay this guy on. See what happens. Don't be afraid to get out your gel press. I mean, what's the harm in using paper that you don't really like anyway, right? Go ahead and play and enjoy it. So you have a little deer in there, and he'll be a layer behind whatever we put on top to have a little deer. All right, here's another. I just think that one's kind of odd. I'm not sure what we're supposed to do with him, so we're just going to set him right up here and pull off some paint onto him. A layer. Oh, see, now that's kind of cool with that peeking through there. And then let's do the same thing over here with this green guy. I'll lay him down here in this corner. Pick up all those bits and just see if we can't get layers going all over the place. And we'll put him right here. Now, your fingers will get inky when you're playing in this world of mine. So if you don't like that, you need to wear gloves. All right, let's pull in this one. I think I'm going to hate this, but no pain, no game. No risk, no discovery, right? And I can always add another layer. Oh, that's not bad. I'm not really sure that the reds match well or anything, but still, it's kind of fun. All right, let's pull in this one again. As you can see, I kind of pulled all the same ones that I really want to get rid of, turn into something of value. Okay, so that's kind of fun over there in the corner. Now, let's see if we can't, oh, let me get this guy off. Wipe down, actually, no, I don't want to wipe down because that's kind of the fun of it. Let's add a layer of gray. Let's see what happens when we add gray. I'm going to pop it open off screen because this is an old one and I don't want extra bits on my gel press. Oh, he's still pretty good, actually. So I'm just leaving my ink on there from previously. and we'll see what we get. All right, so we're going to bring this Merry Christmas guy back in and put him right over here. And voila. That's kind of fun. And then we'll do, oops. See, that's the problem with this thin paper, is it rolls like that. I mean, cardstock and heavier paper will curl on you, but it won't roll like that. So you really need to have plenty of space when you're doing a project like this to set out all your prints to dry. And frankly, I don't have a lot of space over here at the filming station. So maybe I should have done this somewhere else. Oh, that one might be kind of cool. And for giggles and grins, let's pull in this one. See what happens. And see, I'm not really worrying too much about getting a nice even coat. Kind of the bits and things across it are kind of part of the fun. So let's set him across to dry. We're going to bring this guy back in and see if we can't get anything off with him. Just a little bit over here in the corner. Oh, that's kind of fun. A little bit over here in the corner. And there we go. So he's covered up. So now let's add in a little bit of green. Shall we go with crazy green? Let's go with this celery. This is specifically made for scrapbook paper. It is also probably 15 years old, so I'm going to open it off to the side and see what we have. It might be dead as a doornail. It appears that it might indeed truly be. It is dead as a doornail. So this is one of the things that I am excited about my gel press, is hopefully I will be making things more often. In the trash he goes, and thus will not find things drying out on me to the point where I shouldn't have bothered to spend the money on them in the first place. I hate wasting my money. And sometimes things like paints become a waste of money if you don't use them. Okay, so for this one, let's do some green. And shall we try adding this? It's yellow ochre. Let's see what happens. Oh, I can hear by the way I'm shaking that this one is ancient. So let's off to the side, open, and see what happens. Okay, he's really thick, but there might be some value in him. All right, so we've got two colors going now this time. And I should probably wipe that off. So I'm going to pause the video and wipe off my brayer. All right, I have run my brayer under some warm water and he's good to go again. So we're going to just kind of give him one of these kind of things because I don't want it super mixed this time. So let's see what we've got here. Oh, that's kind of fun. Ooh, I kind of like that. That's going to be cool when we add more layers to him. Let's add this guy right over here. Let's give him a firm press all over and see if we can't get him as a nice, thick, juicy layer on here. Oh, that's going to be cool. All right, let's set him aside to dry. We're going to bring this guy back in. We're going to add some layers to him as well. Let's put him down here. I hope this video isn't too long, but maybe I'll see if I can't figure out how to speed it up for you. Ooh, very vintagey. I love it. Love it. All right, let's put this guy in and see if we can get a beginning layer for this guy. He's kind of ugly, gotta tell you. I think he's ugly. All right, that's still ugly, but it's a first layer, so he will be okay eventually. Get all the rest of the paint off of there. Put him here. We're going to bring our poinsettia over here. We're going to press. Actually, you know what? Let's go crazy and put all sorts of stuff on here and see what we get. All right, so that way I can just press everywhere and not worry so much. Okay, so he has a little bit up there. This guy has a little bit down there. This guy has, oh, that's kind of cool. once we add some more layers to it, of course. And this guy, still hideous. That's okay though. All right, so we've got him. Let's bring that color back in because he would be a fun layer underneath on some of the ones I've already done over here. So we're gonna put a little dollop here. This is old and thick, so he is tricky to work with. Let's mix in a little brown, just a smidge of brown. So this one is melted chocolate. Since he's old, I'm opening off to the side in case we get any hard clumps. Now, let's see. You know, I'm feeling crazy, so let's add in a little super float. No, not that one. Let's go with this one. This one is called Lime Sorbet. See what happens, right? Worst that happens is we hate it and we put another layer over top. I know I'm repeating myself. I do apologize. So we're going to do a nice, simple... Yep, he's going to turn to mud if I'm not careful. So we're going to bring this guy back in, who was mostly covered up. We're going to put him right here. This one's going to take longer to dry because I really didn't mix those colors and make it thin. This is a nice thick print. Okay. And we're going to bring this guy back in. Kind of love like the thickness of the paint right there on that one, so he's going to take some time to dry, but I love them all the same. And we're going to take this guy in here. All right, that's not quite enough, so we're going to put him over here. Kind of go off the edge. Ah, that's kind of fun. Maybe not Christmassy, but he's fun. And let's bring this guy back in. Now, I am not really the best at mixing colors, as I'm sure you can tell. I'm sure there are plenty of YouTube artists out there who can teach you more about mixing the colors and making it not be muddy. But like I said, this is an experiment, and if you are, whoops, that one went right over the edge. If you are teaching yourself and just playing along, this is a fun way to do it because nothing is lost. All of this is old paint and paper that I wasn't really fond of anyway, so the worst that happens is it gets thrown in the trash, which a few of them might, to be honest with you. And I'm okay with that. So if you're okay with that, then by all means, have a fun afternoon flying. All right, that one didn't do much. All right, I'm going to pause the video and go recover that one that I dropped. All right, so I have recovered my fallen piece. I have a bunch of 6x6 squares sitting around me everywhere. I'm going to use this light gray. Again, he's really old, opening him not over top of my gel press. Pulled off the crusties that were on him. And we're going to put a nice thin layer on here and see if we can't pick up some of the goodness that is all over my gel press. So it's sort of like a really thin, transparent layer that's going on here. Let's see what happens. So sometimes if your house is dry or you're in a dry environment or you have a fan or a heater going in your craft room, you'll need to move pretty quickly. So that's a very thin layer on top of him. So let me see who else I can grab. Let's grab this guy, my nice vintagey feel, and put him on there. And lift him up. More vintagey, I love it. And some of my thicker ones over here are still drying, so he's still drying. So let's pull this guy back in and see if we can't get some of these bits over here in the corner along the edges. See if we can't make that into something good. Not really. that one is kind of done. So let's do a thin layer of white. Oh, I'm sure this white one over here is dead. In fact, I don't even hear it shaking. So let's see if he has anything left in him. Nope, he is dead as can be, which means I don't have to store him anymore, right? Oh, I know what I want to do. Let's see, where did it go? I have this fun one. Okay, well, that's not the one I wanted, but I have this gold right here. We're going to pull him in and see what happens when we add some gold to it. Okay. Now, see, this one is old and goopy, so he needs to be really well mixed. I wish I had one of those paint shaker things that you could find at Home Depot. Oh, this was the other one that I wanted to use. This one is a glitter, multi-surface glitter one from Martha Stewart. So we're going to add him in a minute. So we're going to do this gold one and a nice thin translucent layer as well. We're going to add him to this guy. Let's see what we get. Oh, that's fun. Nice shimmer to him. And then we will do that again. So the nice thing is, actually, as I'm looking around, even though these were curling up like this, after a second or so, they are flattening back out all on their own. So that's good. Let me set this guy back here. We're going to give this guy another layer of gold over here. This is so much fun. I have to tell you, if you don't own one of these gel press plates, you need to get one. I personally like the 8.5 by 11 from Fun Stamper's Journey because it gives me so much work surface area. That's a nice subtle gold shimmer to the back of that guy. So we'll let him uncurl over there, and then let's do our deer again. See if we can't get just a smidge of gold on him. All right. Fun. All right, so I am going to continue in this vein. I'll come back to you later and let you see how I've been creating. All right, friends, I'm back to show you my results of layer upon layer of gel press printing. I did not really do very much with stencils except for this guy, who you can slightly see the ghost of the deer in there. But with all of these, for the most part, you can't really see the paper underneath it now that I'm finished with them. And, you know, I'm okay with that. I just kept adding layers and letting them dry in between until I was satisfied with the print. This one was a music sheet. Oh, actually, this is a piece of cardstock that I used to get layers off in between. This one you can still, because I was using really thin layers, so you can still see the Merry Christmas through that, which I think is going to be kind of cool on a card. Then we have all of these, and I just, like I said, I kept going until I was satisfied that I liked the final print. So this is what we ended up with in the end, and I used all kinds of acrylics, thin layers, glitter ones, and then I even used, let's see if I can find it real quick. So this glitter one, and then I used this pearlizing medium to give a little shimmer and shine to some of them, and that was fun. This one's kind of cool because you can still see the Christmas through it. This one might be my favorite, but then again, I didn't hate the paper to begin with, so I didn't add very many layers. I just kind of gave it a grungy feel. And then we have these guys over here, just tons and tons of gel prints. Now, this one was the Creative Memories Blue Snow to begin with, and you can't really see it at all anymore. However, I love it. I'm much more inclined to use these, so I'm hoping to make a few cards and tack them onto the end and show you what I did. Now, one of my original goals was to thicken up the paper. It didn't happen. It's still pretty flimsy, but I will say that I like them a lot better, and I'm much more inclined to use them. So this is a time-consuming process to make this many anyway, and I just kept layering and layering and having a great time at it, but it's messy, so don't do it if you're going to a party tonight, because or if you are a manicure kind of person, make sure that you wear gloves. So this is the roller after I'm finished with it. I eventually have to say that I ended up not liking the second layer of acrylic underneath the gel press, and I just kind of stuck it to my glass mat in the end, which I think was definitely the way to go, because then it stopped moving and I just liked the process a lot more. So anyway, that's where we are. I will go make some paper, go make some crafts with them. So thanks, bye-bye. Okay, so all of my gel press prints are dry. It has been 24 hours, but as you can see, they're still pretty flimsy. I think I went over that whenever I showed you the end yesterday. So that means I'm not really going to be able to use these as much of a layering element. So really they're going to end up being backgrounds on cards. So that is what I came up with last night whenever I was thinking on what I was going to do with these. So I'm going to set those aside real quick. I have a bunch of these value packs. Every so often whenever I'm at the craft store, I'll pick up some of these and keep them on hand for making quick cards. But now I have kind of an abundance of them, so I'm going to use up some of these guys. So these guys are a weird size. They are, I think it said 4.5. Yes, they're 4 by 5.5, and I'm used to working by 4.25 by 5.5. So I was planning on using my Spellbinders layering dies, but they don't quite work with these. So that means I'm going to have to hand cut everything. Then I also have some of the bigger ones. Now this is the Caron bag by Totally Tiffany, and I keep a lot of my card blanks in here, and I do, or at least my larger ones in the Caron bag. I keep the smaller ones in a Monica bag so that they don't get crushed or damaged or whatever in between using them. So anyway, I'm going to see if I can use up some of this stash and some of this. Now, also, a year or so ago, I was at, I guess it was Michael's, and I bought these 2 packs of cardstock, except they're not very good cardstock. They are, I would say, probably 65-pound weight, and that's not really something that I usually work with. So being that these are flimsy, I'm going to see if I can layer them on this to give it a little extra, and then layer them on these, which are not, you know, the highest quality cardstock either. They're kind of a flimsy card base as well. So I'm hoping that the 3 of them together will give me a thicker, nicer card to send. And then on the inside, I'll put a layer, a panel, so that I can write on it to also thicken up the card. I don't want it to be too thick because I do want it to go in the mail. However, I'm hoping it actually does, it feels like it has some substance when it gets to whoever it's going to. Now, I'm not going to turn all of these into completed cards. I'm going to make them into like a basic card that I can then add an element to later, like a die cut, a sentiment, whatever, so that I can turn them into whatever I need them to be when I need them, without having to go through the whole process to start a card from start to finish. So with that in mind, I'm also going to see if I can use some of this abundance of washi tape that I have as I put these cards together. So give them a little element to kind of kick it off, and then later add the die cuts and sentiments, like I said. So I am going to go ahead and get started, and then I'm going to speed the whole video up so that you can see what I do. Thanks! Okay, so that did not go according to plan. My video recorder cut off on me, but basically it was all a lot of measuring and cutting, and it was very boring to watch anyway. So let me show you the end results. So I picked my favorite parts of each of them, and I added some washi tape to them, and then I mounted them onto the card bases. As you can see, most of them are pretty basic. I haven't really done much with them. Some of them have some shimmer. I'm really psyched that I found a use for this washi tape here. I thought I would never in a million years use that, but the colors all go well, so there we have those. Same card 3 times. I really like this one. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I really like him, and I also really like this one. I think that one is really quite beautiful. So I did make a few, mostly made a few cards, just to kind of show you some of the things that you can do. I went into the Christmas section on my scrap rack and pulled out some of the stuff that I've had for ages and put it on the card fronts to turn them into mostly complete cards. I might add a few more embellishments here or there. I'm sure you recognize some of this as older Creative Memories stuff, or older, well, actually most of it's older Creative Memories stuff that I haven't really used in years, and so I thought this was a great opportunity to go ahead and use it and put them on there. I'm not going to use Happy Holidays in my scrapbook album, so I went ahead and put it on a card. So basically, that is the taking some flimsy decorative cardstock, printed cardstock, or paper, not cardstock even, flimsy printed paper, and turning it into gel press prints, and then turning them into cards. So I made quite a few cards here today, so hopefully this inspires you to take some of your less than perfect papers that you have in your stash and turn them into something that you actually like in the end. So thank you so much. See you soon.